What is something about yourself that sounds totally made up but is 100% real? I was the best man on both sides of a lesbian wedding because I had dated both the bride and the bride, stayed close friends and introduced them to each other after our breakups. If published for peer-reviewed scientific papers on hamster testicles. Edit - holy shit. I never thought I would write this, but rip my inbox. I'm currently working on a critical COVID-related project which doesn't involve testicles and thus would be much less exciting for redditing purposes. I was at a store when Tony Hawk was signing autographs. I was only 10 at the time and was a huge fan. One of his early video games had just come out. The store had a couple's on the wall and some video games to play. Being a kid, I waited for one controller to open up and someone leave. The kid ended up leaving and I grabbed the controller and started playing and minding my own business. A couple minutes later the store wanted to grab photos of Tony playing his own video game. He came over and grabbed the second controller and began to play multiplayer with me. Probably played for 10 minutes. The bonus was it was also my 10th birthday. So I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater with Tony Hawk. A pelican engulfed my head with its massive fucking beak when I was a small child. Pelicans are cunts. I won 2 TV game shows. The $10,000 Pyramid, won $10,300, in, and Sale of the Century, was on the show for 9 days, won $3,400 in cash and prizes, in. I got ran over by a car, but the driver didn't see me and proceeded to back over me. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words. I'm shocked at the amount of people who said that this happened to them or someone they know / knew as well. The world really is a weird place. And for all who are asking, my legs are perfectly fine now. On a side note, I actually really enjoy running. It's one of my favorite things to do. No, I'm not from China nor have I ever lived there. I'm American. I don't quite understand why people are asking this. Edit hashtag. A couple Redditors have pointed out to me that it's because killing someone in China is apparently less expensive, which is a horrifying thought, but thanks for the explanations. I ran out of gas outside of La Paz, Bolivia. Luckily it was downhill for about 6 mi into the city. I coasted the whole way on my motorbike, past buses and drifted into a gas station. Never missed a beat. At age 50 odd and with limited to no video game experience, my mother completed Mario 64 before I did, in about half the time it finally took me to do it. I've had a headache since August 2015 and I will probably have it for the rest of my life. It's only on half my head, so I got that going for me, which is nice. https://www.nims.nid.gov/disorders/all disorders/hemicrania continue information page. I am related to William Henry Harrison minus the president who died from hypothermia because he wouldn't wear a jacket. My great-grandfather and his son both died from hypothermia as well, but under slightly different experiences. I have almost died from eating way too many vitamins, jumping into a ceiling fan, and jumping from a cliff. My dad almost lit a gas station on fire. Basically, we are a very dumb bloodline starting from William Henry Harrison. When I was a kid, I woke up to find my cat giving birth to her kittens on my pillow, 1 inch from my face. I took it as a compliment. When my mom was in grad school, she took several labs where she worked with cadavers. Because my dad worked nights, she often had to take me to class with her, and usually just plonk me down on the table with the cadaver while she worked on it. I bought a guitar amp from Brad Whitford, of Aerosmith, when I was 17. He and Steven Tyler served up cheeseburgers for me and my friends. Edit. As requested. So, Brad's son was a punk and I knew him from the scene. I was in a band that had some small local marginal success. This is 97/98 in Boston. I needed a new amp for our first US tour but had very little money. I was getting drunk with his son and, on a whim, I asked him if his dad had any amps laying around that he didn't need. We laughed and carried on partying. The next day, I get a call at my home. It was Mr. Whitford himself. He was super nice but to the point. My son says you got a band and need a good rig for your Les Paul. I have something in mind for you. Just got to have my guy get it from the warehouse. Come by my house in Norwell this weekend and check it out. That was the gist of the call. Obviously, the whole band came with me, and our roadie. We get to his house and it's totally him. So weird. These guys were like gods in Boston. I wasn't the hugest fan but knew him from his work with Wayne's World. He takes me to one of his garages, where there is this cool full stack. The brand is Bedrock, an old company from New Hampshire that made good quality amps in the S. This one was custom made for Brad. Basically, Marshall components. 4 tubes. All the knobs go to 11. Not kidding. Still has the property of Aerosmith stickers on it. He plugs it in and rips a crazy solo on his Les Paul and then hands it to me and I play a couple power chords. He asks for $300 for the whole thing. I pay him and he tells his son to give us a tour of the house. This is where shit gets nuts. It's just like you expect. Tons of gold records, platinum records, pictures of him with people like John Lennon, Robert De Niro and Joey Ramone. Then we get to see his studio and the largest collection of Marshall amps in the world. Seriously, like 200 cabs. A wall of guitars. Guitars so pretty and amps so cool. It made sense for him to find the one he sold me dispensable. After the house tour, he told us to meet him at the little bar and grill they own in town. When we get there early and he arrives 30 minutes later with motherfucking Steven Tyler in tow. You guys the punk group. He was so nice. They went in the back and came out with burgers for us all on the house. Then they straight up left. Irish good beat. Even. I still have the amp. I used it on the road for almost 10 years in 5 bands. Now, it's just a conversation piece. But it still works. I'll crank her up every now and then. Edit 2. Pics. https://i.imga.com/to q8mount6w.jpg https://i.imga.com/e05a.jpg I can't look left. Seriously. I'm not an ambi looker. It's like the Zoolander of birth defect. It's called Duane's syndrome. https://rarediseases.org/rare diseases/Duane syndrome/ and my left eye can't turn left, so if I try to look to my left I see double. Growing up my parents raised me to believe it was a party trick and not a disability, so I would always show it off to friends, which in retrospect I think was pretty sweet. Edit. My mom discovered that something was off when I was a baby and she was doing the airplane motion with the spoon of baby food to the left. My left eye was not cooperating. Lol. Edit 2. Fun fact minus now that I'm in my 30s I can see in photos that there is a bag under my right eye but not under my left eye. Presumably because I use my right eye far more often. Edit 3. I am so excited to see there are so many fellow Redditors with Duane's and I'm not alone. I've never met anyone else who had it, so it's really nice to hear from people who know what it's like. Edit 4. A lot of you have asked about driving. It didn't impact me mainly because my mom taught me how to use my mirrors first by turning my head before even letting me turn the car on for the first time. She walked around the car and we tried to identify my limitations. I also have a blind spot detector on my car now, which is super helpful. I try not to totally depend on it though. Edit 5. Here's a photo. https://imga.com/a6afig. I was once sponsored by the Crunk Energy Drink Company for sailing. I imagine I was the only sailor on their list. I literally just emailed them saying that I sailed and asked if they wanted me to put stickers on my boat. They sent me a few cases of the drink, t-shirts, hats, the works. My car was known as the Crunk Mobile. Husband and I fell in love at first sight. Moved in together after 2 days. Married 5 months later. Still married. Will be 40 years in May. I am one of very few people outside want to live through mustard gas. So rare the doctors. 1995 no internet. Had no idea how to treat me. I saw the former Prime Minister of Poland in his underwear. I got hernia by sneezing too hard. I cannot see 3D effects in movies or games. I didn't know that until a friend showed me his new Nintendo Frese and I asked him whether this thing was a scam because it didn't look any different to me than a normal DS. We had a fight over this because we both thought the other one was bullshitting him. You're holding it wrong. How the fuck do you not see this? Are you fucking kidding me right now? There's nothing 3D about this thing. One of my ancestors was dumb and bought one of Napoleon's doorknobs. It turns out it's fake. Doorknobs were invented after Napoleon died. My great-great-grandfather was a Pinkerton detective, acted on vaudeville, and had 5 wives in 2 different states that knew nothing of each other. He also slightly changed his last name each time and never got caught until Ancestry website happened lol. Once in college I applied for a job at the library help desk. I figured I would help people find books. Didn't give it much more thought than that. During the interview, I aced all of the customer service questions. Then they asked me whether I knew how to defrag a hard drive. Cue alarm bells in my head. But I kept calm outwardly and said no. But you can teach me. I worked in it for 3 years by accident. They were too nice to fire me. I've been stabbed 8 times. Edit. This is a fairly new account so I'm prepared to identify myself. http://www.scotlandjudiciary.org.uk/mobile/8/2139/Hmavi Fernando Carrasco dos Santos and Ruben Goncalves. https://www.google.com/amp/s/www.eveninglegraph.co.uk/fp/I am a bit of a mess Dundonian left with PTSD and / Edit. I didn't get the chance to tell my story in court as they pled guilty before I was called. I was drunk and I came out the pub I was in to get some fresh air. I walked past 3 guys and one of them asked me for a cigarette. I told him I don't smoke and he became immediately aggressive. I argued with him for a while and his friends started shouting at me and threatening me. At this point he kind of disappeared behind me. One of the others showed me a knife so I turned and walked away. I knew they were following me as was walking back to the pub. I had a bus stop on my left-hand side and a building on my right. I looked up and saw the first guy walking towards me. Was fight or flight and I had nowhere to fly to so I decided that attack was the best form of defense. I think I managed 1 punch before the 3 of them jumped me. They had been robbing and beating up people all over town for about 2 weeks beforehand. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros, begging you to subscribe, like and comment.